Welcome to Cheating Stories Star. Tonight, Ethan Vale comes home expecting an ordinary night, but a quiet sound behind a closed door changes everything.
My name is Ethan Vale. I remember the exact sound the door made that night. A soft click. Nothing dramatic. Nothing loud enough to warn a man that his marriage was about to become a lie. I had come home early because my meeting had been canceled. My wife, Claire, had texted me an hour earlier. Going to bed early, exhausted, I believed her. That was my first mistake. The house was dark when I entered. Then I heard laughter, not from the bedroom, from the room beside it. I stopped. There was another voice, a man's voice. My stomach tightened. I walked toward the half-closed door and looked through the narrow gap. I saw Claire, and I saw my best friend Daniel. They were standing close, too close. Her hand was resting against his chest. His jacket was hanging over the chair. My mind tried to protect me. There has to be an explanation. There wasn't. I didn't open the door. I didn't shout. I didn't ask why. I simply stood there and watched the two people. I trusted most behaved like I didn't exist. Then Claire whispered something. Daniel laughed softly. And suddenly the entire marriage, I thought I knew, became nothing more than a carefully decorated room with rotten walls. I stepped backward. Quietly, I walked out of the house. No argument. No accusation. No slammed door. I drove until the house disappeared behind me. Only then did I say the words aloud. They chose this. And for the first time that night, I stopped asking what I had done wrong. I started wondering what they had been hiding. The next morning, Claire acted normal. That almost impressed me. She made coffee, asked why I had left so early, kissed my cheek. I looked at her face and realized something terrifying. She wasn't nervous. She was comfortable. That meant this wasn't an accident. It was a system, a secret that had existed long enough to become routine. I smiled. Bad night. She nodded. Yeah, I barely slept. I almost laughed. Instead, I drank my coffee. For the next 2 weeks, I became a stranger inside my own marriage. I stopped asking questions. I started observing. Claire suddenly changed her phone password. Daniel began calling me less. When he did call, his voice sounded rehearsed. I noticed small things. A restaurant receipt in her purse for 2 people. A hotel charge she couldn't explain. A message notification that disappeared before I could read it. None of it proved everything. But together, the pieces formed a shape. And I knew that shape. Betrayal. Still, I needed more than suspicion. I needed certainty. So I hired a private investigator. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I wanted the truth without emotion contaminating it. The report arrived 6 days later. I opened it alone. Photographs. Dates. Locations. Messages. Meetings. Daniel had been seeing Claire for almost 8 months. 8 months! While I had been planning our anniversary trip. While I had been defending Daniel when friends questioned his behavior. While I had been calling him my brother. I stared at the final photograph for nearly a minute. It wasn't the betrayal that hurt most. It was realizing how ordinary my life had looked while something poisonous had been growing underneath it. Then I noticed something else. The investigator had included financial records, and that changed everything. Claire hadn't only been hiding an affair. She and Daniel had been moving money from an account connected to my business. Small amounts. Never enough to trigger suspicion. But together, they had taken nearly $37,000. That was when the pain disappeared. Not faded. Disappeared. Something colder replaced it. Clarity. That evening, I placed the report on the dining table. Claire walked in. She saw the envelope. Her face changed immediately. I watched her sit down. You know, she whispered. I nodded. Daniel arrived 20 minutes later. I had invited him. Neither of them knew why. He walked through the door, smiling. Then he saw Claire. Then the envelope. The smile vanished. I pushed 2 documents across the table. The first contained the evidence of their relationship. The second contained the financial records. Claire started crying. Daniel tried explaining. I raised one hand. He stopped. I don't need an explanation. My voice sounded strange even to me, almost peaceful. Then I gave them the final document. Claire stared at it. Her lips parted. What is this? The account termination notice. Daniel looked confused. I smiled for the first time. You thought you were stealing from me. I paused. You were stealing from an account I had already frozen 3 months ago. Silence. Their faces changed. I had known about the missing money before that night. I had simply been waiting to discover where it was going. The investigator had confirmed everything. Then came the part they never expected. I slid another paper across the table. My attorney filed the civil claim yesterday. Claire stared at me. You planned all this? No. I looked at both of them. You planned it. I stood. I only decided what to do after I learned the truth. Daniel followed me to the door. Ethan, please. I turned. For 1 second, I saw the man I used to call my friend. Then I remembered the room, the laughter, the lies, and the 8 months of deception. You both made your choices, I said. Now you get to live with them. I left. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. The business money was recovered. Daniel disappeared from my life completely. Claire sent messages for weeks. Apologies, explanations, memories. I never answered. Not because I was angry, because I finally understood something. Sometimes closure isn't hearing why someone betrayed you. Sometimes closure is realizing their reasons don't matter anymore. I used to think losing my wife and my best friend would destroy me. It didn't. It destroyed the version of me that believed loyalty was guaranteed simply because I gave it freely. I didn't become cruel. I became careful. There is a difference. Now, when I think about that night, I don't remember Claire's face. I don't remember Daniel's voice. I remember the door, that quiet little click, the sound of a life ending without making a noise. And strangely, I'm grateful for it, because I walked away that night thinking I had lost everything. I was wrong. I had only lost the 2 people who had already decided to lose me. I didn't leave my marriage that night. I left the illusion that I had ever been loved by the people standing behind that door.